here today. I was talking with some of you this morning, and also Sarah Marie and one of our wonderful leaders, and we were just talking. She said something that really struck me, and that was, this room is full of some of the best people that we know. And they all have earned the right to be here, one thing. And worked very hard to be here. You wouldn't be here today. And it really is true. This is a group of amazing individuals. They're leaders that are game changers, that change the world, change a lot of lives, impact a lot of lives. And so, as I woke up at 4:30 this morning and thought, okay, what can I share when I talk? I don't have any slides or anything, nothing planned, but just what can I share that might be of any value for a few minutes that we have here. What are you looking for? I haven't had a chance to connect with all of you, and I look forward to connecting with all of you at some point while we're here. But I've visited with a number of you, and I get a lot of different views and a lot of different thoughts that you're sharing, and some of your pain points, and they're the same and they're different. One thing that's really, really common, I would say, that's a common theme I've picked up on is you want vision. Is that right? You want vision. And so when you say vision, what is that? Is that strategy? We got tactical, right? We got being strategic. We got vision. And they're not the same, are they? They're not the same. And we start with vision, and then we work down the strategy, and then we work down the tactical moves, the implementation of things, right? Strategy is a higher level. Definition is the 10,000 foot level, right? Tactical, we get down to the 1,000 foot level. If strategy is 10,000, then vision is higher. It's way up there. It's way up there in the clouds just a little bit. Why is vision important? Why is it important? We're a small enough group. I'm going to take some answers here. Yes, Seth. He says, Bible says without people perish. Proverbs, I can't give the exact reference, but without vision the people perish. Is that true? That is true. That little statement, I should have memorized because I had it on a piece of paper on a clear binder for a couple of years. I hauled around with me in Armenia and Georgia. That I printed out big block of letters. Without vision, the people perish. You know why? Because there's a part of the world where they lost hope. Two little countries that sat amongst, that over millennia had suffered a lot from interaction with their neighbors. Some of it they deserved, and some of it they didn't. But nevertheless, they were without vision. When people are without vision, then what replaces it? If you're without vision and you're without hope, then what are you dealing with? Fear, despair. Fear and despair are the two biggest things. Apathy, of course, apathy was huge there. It's huge. There are a lot of countries in this world that are, a lot of them full of poverty. People that are suffering, have no money, and have nothing. But there's a big difference between the mentality, the emotional mentality of the people that we are working with in Africa. In a lot of African countries, not all men to glom everything together because they're different. They have their differences. But one thing about them is if you come in there and you give them opportunity, they will kill for them. They will move. They will work. They'll hustle. When you deal with people that have gotten down to a point of apathy where despair and fear is taken over, then they become apathetic. It's almost impossible to move. Almost impossible. And try as you might, they just don't believe anymore. And you're in a system that kills that. They're a Soviet-like management for 80 years. What that means, you get generations that are growing up and they are just programmed to look at a certain way of things, and it's really hard to move. In fact, I found the only people I could move were the younger people. 18 to 35-year-olds, essentially, or younger. So I just mentioned that as a starter here, because vision it's everything. It's everything, isn't it? And if we don't have it, then other things are going to take over. We live in a world today that's a bombardment. I have to share something with you. I read this morning. Yesterday, Australia did a crazy thing. Australia passed a law that they're going to implement. You know what that law is? I don't know if any of you saw this. They are going to kick all teenagers under 16 years of age off of social media.
Good luck.
Crazy. I couldn't believe it. And so I'm just going to read you a couple of things I pulled out of this thing. Australians have a new ban on social media for kids under 16. Addictive social media, this is from some of their health ministers and others, addictive social media that is proving disastrous to their mental health. Then there are a bunch of quotes here. We can protect Generation Alpha, they call them, from being sucked into purgatory by predatory algorithms described by the man who created the feature as behavioral cocaine. That's good. That's the TikTok guy, or reading out behavioral cocaine. It will encourage children to prioritize in-person interactions, boosting their social skills. Whoa, how many of you can relate to that if you have teenagers? Or the lack of those social skills. Social media is a misnomer. I love this one. It's the apps want kids to be focused on their phone and not their friends. It's a misnomer. It's not social. They want to be focused on the apps and not their friends. 96% of children ages 10 to 15 use social media. 7 out of 10 of them have been exposed to harmful content and behavior, including misogynist material, fight videos, content promoting eating disorders, and even suicide. You've all read this. Is nothing new to any of you. I know this. We found, this is one mother that told a particular experience when they gave their 10-year-old a phone. We found that she retreated into her room, into her own private world, her own private space, and we didn't think that was, in the long run, going to be healthy for her. No kidding. I just shared that because I was a little shocked. This is a country that's the first I've seen of this. What happened? We tried to do that in the U.S. Well, they were attacked. They've been viciously attacked by all the social media platforms, by everything you can think of, but they're holding to it. We're going to see what happens. The world's going to watch this. It's going to be a great experiment, isn't it? And so I shared just a little bit of that, just to say, we have to recognize the world that we're living in. AI is crashing in, and it's doing things, and we're all a little bit excited, a little bit, tenuous maybe, some of us, and yet, what's it going to do? What's it going to do? Mostly, I know you represent groups all around the world, but the great majority of you here today are from North America, meaning U.S. and Canada, and Kurt talked a fair amount about what's been happening in North America in the last 5 years. He's right. He's absolutely right. And the history behind that, he did a great job of setting up a little bit what happened when the FDA came in. I'll never forget Gary Cootie, head of the FDA, saying to us, doTERRA, you will not survive this. You know what that did to me? I can tell you, it was a stunning thing. Now, we were well prepared for it. We were preparing for years, and we came out without a fine, not a single fine, after they were there camped out for a year trying to find stuff, But him saying, you will not survive this, it got my full attention. Let me tell you, we doubled down on international expansion and different things like that at that point. I thought we will not, because at that point, I don't remember what it was like 75, 80% of our business was in the U.S. Okay, and so we've got to protect this, and we did. Pendulum swing, they swung way out here, we got crazy. We tried to teach you all how to speak compliantly. Oh my gosh, that's right. Do you have scars from that? Yes. I have scars from that. People think you're being dishonest. They look at you, you're trying to teach a class.
Pay attention for that.
I know. PTSD, we all need to heal. And it was this thing where we talk in a certain way, people look at you, new people going, what are you trying to hide? Why are you talking that way? Nobody talks that way. Anyway, there's a lot of history, a lot of water under that bridge, as we say. But now we've got to switch it back around. We'll bring we're going to bring this 30% pendulum back to here, but you know what? You can't swing out here, but we are going to bring it to here. We are going to bring it to here. Melina was right. If we don't have at least 5 or 6 different significant problems at any given time, with our legal guys maybe being hit, then we're not doing our job. It means we're not relevant. It means we're not relevant. You know what it means to be relevant? It means that what you do, what you say, what the work you do, the interactions you have with other people is actually making a difference for them. Now we have to be careful because, you know, we're also a personal development company, aren't we? We love that. We love people to see people develop and grow, and they do. All of you have. All of us have. We've all grown. But that's not our sole purpose. It's not about our individual stories. People become interested in our individual stories if we're successful, right? That's a natural thing. But it's not about that. That'll only get you so far in terms of relevance with others. What makes you relevant with others in this business is whether or not you can effectively teach and empower people with essential oils, and or you can effectively help them with their businesses to grow. I was talking with one of our leaders here last night in North America, whose team has grown like, I think 64% last year. And they're growing like crazy, Been with us a long time. We've seen things for the last dozen years with us. And hard times, good times. And I just said, well, what are you doing? How are you doing that? And he said, we gather. We gather. That's what we do, we gather. What do you mean by that? Well, we have meetings all the time. How big are these meetings? Oh, anywhere from 25 to maybe 150 people. Wow. Where's your wife? She was exhausted. We just got off the road doing meetings. This is what we do. And she was exhausted, so she's recuperating, and I'm here. And you know, this is, and they have we used to call them elite retreats, right? Doing that sort of thing. And at one point was, you got to get people together, especially young leaders like that, and you got to have a little time with them. It doesn't happen in a 1-hour meeting. It doesn't happen in a 1-hour meeting. That happens when you're with them for a couple of days. And at least overnight, you got to break bread together, right? You gotta connect. You have to feel this. You have to sleep in the same area or place or something, and you have to start to build this. It's about teams. This business is about teams. You have to remember that. Those people that are succeeding. Next thing I asked this particular leader was, what do you focus on from a product standpoint? So oils. Only the oils. Especially as they're leading out that way. You know, we got a lot of great products. Supplements are great. We need some anchoring products and consumables that help with that monthly ownership, maybe. But the essential oils, there is nothing like them. We've forgotten that. When Dr. used to get up, if he ever said he was doing an A to Z meeting on the oils, you all remember, you've been around. I mean, people would kill to be there. And they would sit there for 8 hours straight, studiously taking notes, right? This is what we lost. We lost this. We have to get it back. And we can get it back. We have to teach people how to use essential oils again. As Kirk was pointing out, our shares. I don't care what any of us do. If we lose the share population, what are shares, first of all? Give you a definition, in my mind anyway. A share is someone that isn't necessarily wanting to build a business and trying to build a business. They're just so passionate about essential oils because of personal experiences they have had that they are compelled to share them with others. And they do. And they bring them out. They share. Be careful of calling things old, like the Dr. Mom kit. Okay, you know, moms are out, whatever's in. No, moms are always in. Don't kid yourself. We don't kid ourselves. Now, nothing against us guys, okay? I just want to tell you that this happens mostly with moms and kids. And when you empower them to use these essential oils on their kids, It's amazing. I watch my own kids. My wife, she's of course incredibly passionate about essential oils. And I watch what they're doing with their kids now. They use the oils heavily with their kids. When they get sick, stuff happens. And so we have to get that back. Be careful of distractions. IT. Most of what I asked this leader and said, I don't care what happens with IT. So I was around when IT was really bad in this company. And you know what? It's not going to make or break me. And IT is better than it's ever been. Now, some of you are feeling differently, but I'm going to tell you something. A lot of what you're feeling sometimes, I'm going to jump out on a limb because as I get examples, this is what I'm feeling. It's mostly because you're supporting groups in some far-off countries, sometimes very small, where we're not yet established. We haven't yet been able to fully spend the money and time to connect through different gateways and APIs into their financial systems and to use their financial means. And it's hard, it's really hard, and we fail a lot, make a lot of mistakes. You know, we used to in the U.S. too. But you know what, we're pretty dang solid in the U.S. now. That is not going to make or break your business. Even if we give you the newest, greatest widget to run your business, I guarantee you, it won't make a difference. It won't make a difference. What makes a difference is teaching people how to use the essentials. What makes a difference is gathering. You have to gather. This is the illness that is hitting our society. It's a global pandemic. People stop gathering. We're human beings. Social media doesn't do it. AI won't do it. As people shift to relationships through AI, you'll see things even get worse, I think. But we are humans. We have to gather. That's what doTERRA promotes. So as you think about that, I promise you, if you start doing the fundamentals, you start working, you start teaching your people to work, you gather, you just go out and do. We know what we're talking about when we say this. I can remember Dr. Hill doing Diamond Club for 3 years straight. And we're on that road all the time, teaching anybody to listen. And they were not big meetings. We never had groups like this. Maybe this road, maybe. And that was it a lot in those beginning years. And yet we just kept teaching, yet we shared stories. We're a storytelling company. And we get the best stories on earth. You share stories. And that's what gets people. People would bring people to Dr. Hill's meetings. Our leaders would die to get people. They would pay them almost, that were skeptics or whatever, to come to Dr. Hill's meetings. You know why? I'll tell you why. It's because, besides the fact that he's relevant in what he shares with the products, they knew, and this is true, that if they could just get people in that meeting and they would hear Dr. Hill teach, that these people are coming with all kinds of skepticism, that it would flow away and they would have a mind shift and they go, wow, you know, maybe this stuff really works. In fact, you know what, I think I believe it probably will work. In fact, you know what, I'm going to try. That's what they'd bring. That's why they'd kill to have people there. Same with our conventions. It's because they knew they would be converted through the essential oils. We have to become relevant again in that regard, more than any other way. We're good at the business. You're all great leaders. But you got to teach your people too. You can't do it from afar. You have to be with them. You have to be teaching. A couple of last thoughts as I heard. I'm just trying to address a couple of things. And as we're jumping back in, and I get a little bit of a get out of jail card because we've been away, right, for a while. And so I can claim for a little while anyway. I don't really know what's going on. But I do know this business. I'll tell you that. I know it deep. I know it deep. It's in our bones. I know what works and what doesn't work. I know what are distractions and what aren't. And I know what are bright, shining objects and what aren't. We have trends all the time in this world. And the good companies walk through the changes that everybody thinks the world is different now. And they continue on. Become a forever company. You have to figure out how to do that. That's what we're doing here. We have a vision. We're going to get more into this. We're going to really dial it in by the time we hit leadership in March. We're going to really dial this thing. But we're going to need a lot of help. We need you to re-engage. We need you to go back to your roots. We need you to start doing what you love. I will never forget, and I've shared this a time or two, as COVID was starting to lift and not really lifting, and I just thought, you know what? Emily and I and Doc said, we're going to go out and do some meetings. So I want to go somewhere I haven't been before. So I went to Milwaukee. I went up and down the coast there, the lake, did 5 meetings in 3 days. Half the people in the meetings were still wearing masks. Sometimes all wearing masks. Some weren't because they're trying to rebel a little bit. It was right at that stage, right? In fact, I was in a grocery store right next to this little cheap hotel I was in. And I went in there to get something to eat late at night. And this guy comes up and starts screaming at me. You're risking my life. And I was looking at him going, I was trying to get this shopping cart loose and it was stuck. And I thought, well, did I do something with this shopping cart? And finally I realized my mask had slipped down over my nose. And it was covering my mouth, but not my nose. That might have been on purpose. But it was done over like this. And he was letting me we were a little scarred from those days, aren't we? Anyway, I went up and down this coast and did these meetings. And they were, 2 of them were in people's homes. One was in the middle of a greenhouse. One was at a room in a civic center. And anyway, I just went up and down these. So the smallest one had 6 people in it. The other one had, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 people. And the biggest one might have been the greenhouse. It probably had 80 people or something. Small groups, bar standards. I used to be in front of 2,000 people at a time as we did meetings around the U.S. And I love that. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. You know, I'd say sometimes they have a tripod set up with a camera in the back running. I'd say, take the tripods down. Take the cameras down. We're going to do what we did in the very beginning. I said, you want me to just talk about and teach like we did in the beginning? And they're like, yeah, that's what we did. I shared how to really use the essential oils. I shared real stories, real miracles that we'd seen from them. And it was powerful. I know a gal came running out of one of these meetings. She was a silver. She had the smallest group, 6 people in her home. She catches me as I'm getting my rental car, and she goes, I'm going to walk as a diamond in the next convention. I want you to remember my name. She did. She walked as a diamond. She walked as a diamond because people are inspired by that. So as we go through everything else, we're looking for vision. That is what we're going to do. It's not some new crazy thing. We're going to do really good at going back to what we do best with essential oils. We're going to own it. We have no competition out there now. And we're going to own that space. We're going to do better. We have Clone-Pack sourcing, which is incredible. We're going to re-enthrone all of this, but mostly we're going to re-enthrone how to use the essential oils. That's what we're going to do. Now I want to just bring up one other question I know in some people's minds. I've been asked by a few of you, where's Emily? What's going on? We're concerned that you aren't getting along. And stuff like that, right? And I would just say this, that I love Emily. But we all are going to do what we're going to do. We need Emily, okay? We need Emily. She's powerful. She's amazing. But we learned something really important from Mel Robbins when she was here, didn't we? She was pretty good at our convention. Let them. There are others, not just Emily. There's others I could speak to. Some key employees that I sat down with and I begged them, hang on a little longer. And they chose not to, for whatever the reason, personal reason, whatever. And you know what? I finally have to stop and say, if there's one thing I walked away with for her thing was that let them. Let them. Give them their space. Maybe they'll come back, but let them. But just remember, this isn't about any one of our personal journeys. This isn't about any one of our personal journeys. Our focus as a company is we are not I don't know. I mean, we heal in a lot of ways, but our focus is healing the world. But we do it through essential oils. And then we do it through our community. That's our second piece of magic that we have. We have a powerful community of people. And these people come in and they help heal people in so many different ways. The oils are a reason for gathering. And they're heavy lifters because they're so experiential. But then as a process of that, rubbing shoulders with great people, people are able to get over whatever they're trying to get over. Their lack of hope, their lack of of faith. They have this despair, this fear that their life is full of. Our world is lots going on, but you know what? These are not the worst of times. Oh my goodness, there's been much worse times in the United States. Much worse. All you got to do is go back 100 years. These are not bad times comparatively. Not to say that hard things aren't happening in the world, but by no means, this is nothing like the era of the Spanish pandemic or World War I, World War II, stuff like that. Not yet, anyway, okay? These are good times. They're really good times. In fact, I'm so glad to live at this time of my life. I'm so glad, because these are where we're going to see some of the greatest things this world has ever seen. And doTERRA is going to play a part. So keep that in mind. In the way of vision, we'll dial this vision in. But the way to really do it is by going back and reestablishing really what really works. And that's what we're going to do. So just know how much we appreciate and love each one of you, and how much you mean to us, and how much we appreciate you, and we are so grateful for your dedication. And just don't just hold on. Get ready to go back to work. We got a lot to do. All right, thank you.